checking ourselves and saying, yes, what can I learn from this? And also, you know, as managers, and when you're looking at inspiring other people, think about challenges that you've had in the past and how you've come through them. I have been so inspired by bosses in the past who have been emotionally intelligent with me, have shared their vulnerability, and said, Claire, this is how I screwed up. But this is also what I learned from my failure. And there's no such thing as failure necessary, just feedback and lessons for the next time. Okay, which brings us on to strategy number 5, which is emotion. How many of you have heard of the concept of emotional contagion? Emotional contagion? Yeah. What it is really is that our emotions are catching. Okay? So if you get somebody in a group with actually a predominant emotion, and it could be either a negative or a positive emotion, it doesn't choose. What will happen is the rest of the group will tend to take on that emotion. Now think about this from a perspective of you being a leader. What emotions do you bring with you to work? How well do you manage your emotions? And it's that fine balance of checking your emotion, but also being open and vulnerable and transparent and authentic with your people. Also think about, you know, when we're tired, when we're stressed, do we sometimes let the negative people in our team, the naysayers, do we sometimes let them get away with it? Think about the ripple effect of their negativity with this emotional contagion. Sean Aker, who is a positive psychologist at Harvard University, he did studies. He planted people in railway stations, and he had them start to grumble and complain. How long do you think it took? 3 minutes. Even people like me who are naturally positive and optimistic were starting to complain. That's scary, isn't it? So what I'd like to ask you to look at is, you know, if I had an emotional balance sheet at the moment with positive emotions on one side and negative or unresourceful emotions on the other side, how would it weigh up currently? You know, are there positive emotions that I could be accessing that would help me with my emotional balance sheet? And Barbara Fredrickson, who wrote a wonderful uplifting book called Positivity, has identified, here we are, the top 10 positive emotions. And I wanted to focus briefly on number 2, on gratitude, because I think this helps us get perspective as well, doesn't it? As I said, when times are challenging, sometimes we forget about what we already have. And Martin Seligman is working now with the US Army on something he's calling the 3 blessings exercise. So are you familiar with gratitude journals? Yeah, they're out. They're passé. Okay? What they were finding with gratitude journals is that people were starting to write their gratitude journals. So every night they get their journal and they write down 3 things that they're grateful for. And then they do it for a few weeks. And then what do you think would happen? Get totally blasé. What have I got to be grateful for today? Or let me look back on what I was grateful for last week. Okay, yeah, that'll do. I'll write that down. And it lost all of its impetus. It defeated the object of the exercise. But the 3 blessings is slightly different. And I can assure you, it certainly changed my life. I've been doing it for about 6 months. I don't write it anymore, but it's hardwired into my neurology that at the end of each day, no matter how bad the day, when I'm lying there in bed, I say, what are 3 things that were good about today? And sometimes it might only be that I didn't get blown up in a car. Or it might be that I had food on my table. That I had a friend who I was able to access as support. And, you know, and ever since I've been passionate and teaching my practically positive programs, believe you me, I've been given every opportunity to practice resilience and optimism. And I know that these strategies do work. So that might be something that you would want to consider, because what it does is it changes your focus. You know, our reticular activating system, what we focus on, what we scan for. When we start to scan what we're grateful for, things change. Now, I've got a few printouts. I forgot to ask permission from the writer. So I've got a few printouts of a case study called Gratitude in the Time of Downsizing. And it's a really uplifting article about someone who was going through a really challenging time at work, and they decided to change their perspective and focus on what they were grateful for. And the results and the outcomes that they got were particularly interesting. So it's all making sense so far? Not rocket science? Going in though? Fantastic. When we're looking at emotions, you know, we can't be up the whole time. We can't be 100% positive. That's called inauthentic. That's called faking it. But, you know, when we are worrying, when we do have anxiety, the antidote to worry is taking purposeful action.